Saints Among Sinners, Part 6, The Amulet's Price, a fan-fiction Oblivion Remastered short story. Saints Among Sinners Storyline, Part 6, A Mead and a Good Meal. The night air was brisk as Thaddeus and Garrick made their way through the lantern-lit streets toward Hearthstone Hall. Thaddeus felt energized and rejuvenated, the chill on his face a welcome reminder that he was alive and whole after so much recent peril. They had both purchased new undergarments made of soft cotton and were ready to change into them after dinner. He glanced sideways at Garrick, who walked beside him, his brow furrowed in concentration as he studied a curious parchment glowing softly in the darkness. A sense of camaraderie and gratitude welled up in Thaddeus. After all they'd endured, it was a comfort to share this quiet moment with a new friend.
"Is that the map you found in some ruins?"
he asked, curiosity piqued by the faint blue glow pulsing beneath Garrick's fingers. Garrick nodded, a small, almost boyish smile tugging at his lips.
"The city provides it. It's more useful than I thought. Watch this."
He held the map up so Thaddeus could see. The parchment shimmered, and tiny colored dots moved across a sketched layout of the city.
"Each of us is marked here. See? That's Saren, and that's Aldrin. And the cluster there is Rashad, Torvald, and Jorich. All at Hearthstone Hall, just as I hoped."
Thaddeus peered closer, eyebrows raised in genuine amazement. For a moment, his worries seemed to melt away, replaced by fascination.
"You mean it tracks us? All the time?" "Apparently so."
Garrick replied, his pride at the magical map mingling with a hint of sheepishness.
"It's keyed to our signatures from when we checked in. I looked before we left the healers, just to make sure the others were safe. And now..."
He tapped the map and the dots pulsed gently, a reassuring sign in the uncertain night.
"Now I know they're all together, at what we've been told is the best place to eat in the city."
Relief softened Thaddeus's features, and he let out a chuckle, the sound warm and genuine.
"I suppose that means we won't have to search the city for them. That's a comfort. I'm not sure I could handle a chase tonight."
As they reached the doors of Hearthstone Hall, Thaddeus clapped Garrick on the back.
"Well, let's not keep them waiting. I can already smell the roast duck from here, and I could do with a large mead."
Garrick grinned, the light from the hall spilling over his face as he pushed open the heavy door.
"Meat? I am ready for a beer and meat,"
he declared, his voice full of simple, honest longing for good food and better company. For the first time in days, both men felt the promise of comfort and belonging just on the other side of the threshold. Inside, the long oak tables were crowded with adventurers and townsfolk alike, but Garrick easily spotted their companions. Aldrin, Saren, Rashad, Torvald, and the battered Jorich were gathered at a corner table, plates piled high with roast duck, honeyed carrots, and thick slabs of brown bread. Tankards of frothy mead and dark beer clinked together as Rashad regaled the group with tales of his negotiations, his voice rising above the din. As Thaddeus and Garrick approached, the table erupted into cheers and laughter, a sound that was part genuine joy, part desperate relief. Saren was the first to leap up, her eyes shining with unshed tears and a fierce smile.
"There you are. We were starting to think you'd sleep through the next battle, Thaddeus,"
she teased, her voice trembling just slightly as she pulled him into a quick, fierce hug. For a moment she clung to him, as if reassuring herself he was truly there. He had saved them all and deserved their loyalty. Torvald stood and gripped Thaddeus's hand with his big bare hand, his broad shoulders shaking with emotion he could not quite hide.
"It's damn good to see you on your feet, Thaddeus. You saved all of us down there.
He paused, struggling for words, his jaw clenched and eyes glistening. Finally, he simply clapped Thaddeus on the shoulder, the gesture heavy with gratitude
am truly sorry for your loss.
His voice faltered, the weight of Leif's absence settling over the table like a shadow. But Torvald cut him off, his voice rough but resolute.
You did your very best to save us all, and I'll never forget your efforts.
He swallowed hard, pain flickering across his face.
You had nothing to do with Leif's death. I'll deal with it in my own time and my own way.
For a moment, the sorrow in his eyes was almost too much to bear. Thaddeus, voice steady but thick with emotion, replied,
Torvald, as long as I am alive, you are never alone.
A faint, grateful smile broke through Torvald's grief as he pressed a cup of mead into Thaddeus's hands.
Drink with us, and let's think of better times,
he said, his tone a fragile bridge between mourning and hope. Aldrin, sensing the heaviness, grinned and raised his mug in an effort to lift the mood.
We kept your share of the mead safe, but I can't promise Yorick didn't try to sneak a sip.
Yorick, bruised but grinning, held up his hands in mock innocence.
I only sampled it. For quality, you understand.
His attempt at humor was a balm, drawing a ripple of laughter from the group. Around the table, the party's laughter was tinged with relief and sorrow, their camaraderie a fragile but vital lifeline in the wake of all they had endured. Rashad leaned back, a self-satisfied smile on his lips.
You're all just jealous because I negotiated us a king's ransom while you were busy getting patched up.
Saren snorted, elbowing Rashad.
A king's ransom? Try a small treasury. Rashad, thousands of gold and you barely broke a sweat.
She mimed her mind being blown. Aldrin chimed in,
You had a silver tongue, and you've been holding out on us all these days, and you wait until now to show off.
Yorick raised his mug in salute.
To Rashad, the only man who can talk a dragon out of its hoard and still get invited back for tea.
Rashad grinned, feigning modesty.
Well, I can't reveal all my secrets at once, but I will say it helps to have a group of heroes at your back, and the promise of Thaddeus's fireballs if things go south.
The table erupted in laughter, and even Thaddeus managed a genuine chuckle, his spirits lifted by the warmth of his new companions. He took another sip, his cheeks tinged a rosy red, and leaned forward slightly, eyes glinting with mischief.
You know,
He said with an exaggeratedly serious tone,
since everyone's sharing talents, I feel it's time I unveil my true gift.
a few eyebrows raised. Yorick smirked.
Oh? And what gift might that be?
Stand-up comedy.
Thaddeus replied, without missing a beat, then cleared his throat dramatically.
Why don't mages ever get invited to barbecues?
Yorick grinned, ready.
Why?
Because last time I tried to light the grill, and we needed a new tavern. Oh, that one fell a little flat. Okay, here is another one. Why did the mage bring a ladder to the tavern? No takers. Well, it's because he heard the drinks were on the house.
Laughter burst around the table. Aldrin slapped the table. Saren nearly spit her drink, and even Rashad wiped a tear from his eye. Buoyed, Thaddeus grinned wider.
All right, one more. Why did the fireball get kicked out of wizard school?
Yorick, already giggling with mead in hand, said,
I don't know. Why?
Because every time it showed up to class, it lit up the curriculum.
The laughter came again, fuller this time, honest and needed. The conversation turned to lighter matters, old exploits, near misses, and the strange foods they'd tasted in distant lands. Rashad was in his element, weaving stories that had the whole table laughing.
You should have seen the look on his face when I told him the cask was already half empty.
He crowed, and the others roared with laughter, raising their mugs in salute. Saren wiped tears from her eyes, and Aldrin shook his head, grinning.
Only you could turn the merchant's greed into a feast for us all, Rashad.
Suddenly, the doors to Hearthstone Hall swung open with a heavy thud that echoed off the stone walls. Conversation died mid-sentence. Tankards paused halfway to lips, and the laughter that had filled the air moments before was snuffed out as if by a sudden wind. The regent of the city entered. He was flanked by a squad of stern-faced guards, armored in polished steel that gleamed in the firelight. His cloak, deep blue and heavy with silver embroidery, trailed behind him like a living shadow. Cold and sharp as winter steel, his eyes swept the room with calculated precision, landing on Garrick's group like the drawing of a blade. There was power in his presence, not just political power, but the kind that makes a room forget how to breathe. Chairs scraped as patrons fled, their faces pale, eyes carefully averted. Even the most seasoned adventurers, warriors who had faced beasts in the deep wilds, hesitated at his command.
They're the hall.
It wasn't shouted. It didn't need to be. The command cut through the room like a sword. In moments, the once noisy tavern was empty, save for Garrick's group and the regent's retinue. The adventurers did not rise. They did not flinch. They sat with straight backs and leveled gazes, some out of defiance, others because they simply wanted to know why a man like this had come for them. The regent noticed. A faint flicker of approval touched his face, gone as quickly as it came. He stepped forward, boots clicking with deliberate weight, and finally spoke.
I am Regent Calvinar. I serve at the will of the Council of Seven, and through them the sovereign of our city. My purpose is the safeguarding and enforcement of the Council's will, the execution of its commands, and the maintenance of this city's balance and survival.
He let the silence hang just long enough for gravity to settle before continuing.
Understand, the Council is not a figurehead. It is made of one elected from each of the city's sectors: merchants, guards, legal service, finance, and medical. Together, they appoint the sovereign, who governs the city and its lands. And in turn, the sovereign appoints a regent to govern the city proper. Mead.
His voice took on an edge now, something between pride and disdain.
I am not a king. I am not a judge. I am not your savior. I am the one who ensures this city wakes up tomorrow.
He looked each of them in the eye. No one could tell if he was sizing them up or admiring a chessboard he already owned.
The dungeon that festers beneath our streets. It was not an accident. Dungeons formed from the oversaturation of magical monoclonal molecules. Residual power in the land that, when pushed beyond equilibrium, coalesces into anomalous realms. Dangerous, yes, but also useful. When properly managed, they generate resources, commerce, controlled magic, power. Cities have thrived from such sites. But this one...
He lowered his voice, a dark undertone threading his words.
...is corrupt. It has become a node of decay. The undead stir within it, and we have confirmed it is being tethered, fed by something deeper. A foreign presence.
He paused, then said what none of them wanted to hear.
The undead king.
The name itself chilled the room, a shadow falling over every face.
The dungeon has become a conduit, a growing artery connecting this city to something ancient, malignant, and cunning. Already it twists, it spreads. Adventurers who enter either die or feed the thing further. Yet destroying the dungeon outright would squander what value remains and collapse part of the city's foundation with it.
His gaze sharpened, voice hardening with resolve.
I want it cleared, not destroyed, not sealed, claimed. Strip it of the undead king's hold. Cut the infection out, leave the heart beating. If we do this right, the city wins. Economically, waste precious time looting side chambers, prying at cursed relics, and fighting each other over scraps of enchanted junk while the deeper levels fester.
He looked at the group with pointed scrutiny.
You've seen the kind. They enter with dreams of riches and leave either in pieces or worse, don't leave at all.
One of the guards beside him, a grizzled veteran with a half-healed scar down his jaw, spoke up, voice roughened by too many battles.
We've pulled survivors out, and everyone tells the same story. They got separated because someone stopped to loot. They got ambushed because someone broke a seal they didn't understand. Hell, we had one fool spend 10 minutes prying gems out of a wall while his party screamed from the next corridor.
He spat to the side, disgust clear in his eyes.
Greed's killing more than blades down there.
The Regent gave a small, tight nod.
We are overrun with outlanders, adventurers from distant realms who speak of leveling up as if this were a game. They do not see Fallujah as a home, only a proving ground. They throw themselves into our dungeon not to purge it of evil, but to hunt trophies and secure magical trinkets they can sell on foreign markets. Their eyes are on coin and glory, not the lives they endanger by stirring what lies beneath.
The same scarred guard gave a snort, his lip curled in contempt.
Loyalty?
He muttered.
They don't even have loyalty to each other. Last week, we found 2 heroes, gutting a third over a fallen spellblade. I've seen parties collapse mid-fight because someone turned on their ally for a chest of blood gold. They wear noble titles and carry enchanted blades, but half of them are nothing more than armed scavengers.
Regent Calvinar's voice turned cold, each word deliberate.
This is why we cannot trust just anyone. I don't need bodies, I need professionals. I need people who won't stab each other in the back the moment a vault door swings open. The dungeon must be cleared and preserved, not picked clean by glorians and tomb robbers. You've shown discipline, purpose. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm offering you this chance.
Saren's hand had long since drifted to her dagger. Rashad leaned forward, brow furrowed. Jorik frowned deeply, arms crossed, the tension in the room thickening with every word. Aldrin growled,
Who tainted it? You said sabotage.
Yes,
Regent Calvinar answered, his eyes narrowing.
someone from inside, a traitor. We do not yet know who, but they fed the magic, opened a gate. We suspect someone is serving the undead king. You are to find them and cleanse what they've helped create.
The group fell into tense silence, the weight of the task settling over them, until Jorik finally asked,
And what are we to you, exactly?
Regent Calvinar didn't blink.
Instruments, sharpened ones. That's why I've come to you. You've killed more undead in 1 week than half my army in a month. You've earned this responsibility.
He gestured to his aide, who stepped forward with a sealed scroll, the wax glinting in the candlelight.
25,000 gold crowns, estates inside the city walls, and a place in our records as defenders of Fallujah. These are yours if you succeed.
A stunned silence followed, the promise of reward as heavy as the threat of failure. Then Torvald broke it, quiet and firm.
That's a king's ransom, Regent. You must be desperate.
Rashad was quick to retort, a wry smile flickering.
Wow, Torvald, you're very blunt.
Regent Calvinar's voice was flat as he looked at Torvald, no hint of humor in his eyes.
Desperate? No, I'm simply not foolish enough to ignore results.
Rashad cleared his throat, folding his hands with practiced diplomacy.
You'll need more than promises. Enchanted gear, repairs, wards, smiths, full support.
You shall have it.
Regent Calvinar said without hesitation, his tone brooking no argument.
Anything short of that, and I'm wasting both your time and my city's future.
He paused, then turned to Thaddeus, his gaze assessing.
I've read the reports, you mage. Captain Halmar said there's power in you. Real power. That what you carry is rare and dangerous. I'd be a fool not to secure it for the right cause.
Thaddeus met his gaze, voice steady and resolute.
We fight for the living, not for politics.
Regent Calvinar smiled, just barely, a flicker of amusement passing across his otherwise stern features.
So do I, in my own way.
He let the words hang for a moment, then turned his gaze to the group assembled before him.
Tell me, do any of you know why this city is called Veyron's Gate?
He paused, his eyes scanning each face, searching for a glimmer of understanding. When none came, he continued, his voice carrying the weight of old secrets.
The orb of Kahala is no ordinary artifact. It is a sacred relic bound to the very heart of this city. Long ago, King Veyron himself discovered a hidden vein of orichalcum ore beneath this land, a metal rare and powerful, unlike of any other. In his wisdom, he forged something amazingly new, our city's secret. Orichalcum was woven through the city's walls, an invisible shield. When the orb touches the orichalcum, it creates a field, one that weakens and eventually destroys the undead in all their forms.
Calvinar's eyes glinted in the torchlight as he spoke, his voice growing more fervent.
Light, as you know, is the bringer of life. It nourishes our crops, sustains our people, and now, when harnessed through orichalcum, it becomes a weapon against darkness. Veyron's greatest gift was this, a gate the undead cannot cross, a sanctuary held fast by the union of light and metal. That is why we endure, even as shadows gather beyond our walls.
He stepped back.
Meet with my aide tomorrow at dawn near the dungeon. You will be given the tools, the access, the maps, the names. I'll expect your answer then.
He turned to go, but paused once more at the threshold. His guards gathered around him, while another stood just outside, torchlight flickering across the gleaming orichalcum of his armor.
Remember, this dungeon could become the greatest asset Falujamar has seen in a generation, or its tomb. Make sure it's the former.
And then he was gone. As the doors shut behind him, the firelight flickered in his absence. The group sat still, each processing the storm they'd just been thrown into. Torvald grunted.
Just how bad does it have to be to hand the keys of the kingdom to strangers?
He drank his mead and slammed the empty cup on the table. Thaddeus replied,
Honor and duty don't mean much if you're dead. I don't think they're desperate. I think they're terrified.
Aldrin was quick to respond.
I don't agree. This city seems too secure at the moment to be terrified. They seem smart enough to think they are going to win. They have adventurers helping them.
Garrick leaned in then, his voice low.
This isn't Tamriel. It's Falujamar. And we didn't choose to be here. That cursed relic, it dragged us, ripped us from our homes. That gray mist outside the city, it's not fog, it's him, the undead king, feeding, spreading, claiming souls and raising them against us.
He clenched his fist, trembling slightly.
I have a wife, Liza, back home. But I won't claw my way back to her on a path of dead children and burning towns. We fight for this city, because this dungeon is our chance to strike back.
Everyone was quiet, each with their own thoughts, their own fears, their own motives, and yet the same purpose. Because in that moment, they understood. The Regent wants to control the dungeon. The Council wants stability. The undead king wants conquest. And only they stood between ruin and a future.